how have you found the balance of dealing with the entitlement? I know you mentioned it before the one time, and then I couldn't relate until now. I have a son, where a complete stranger is like trying to grab my child, and it's like so scary because they follow him, Yeah. And then I'm like, I remember you posting about it. And how do you manage those boundaries? Because it's a tricky balance where on the one hand, yes, your child is out there publicly. She has her own career. She's making her own money. She's her own individual person, but she still is your baby.
No, she's a baby. She's completely a baby. And I think the one thing that people don't realize very much about Kyra is that she's not really aware of the public exposure. She's not that aware of social media and what her position is on social media. So we've had to set some rules even with her. She knows she's not allowed to take pictures. She's not allowed to do a lot of things, I also even try and limit the interaction when I'm with Cairo. Because I get paranoid, I'm with the child and I'm taking pictures and I'm distracted. What if my child disappears? I'm very paranoid. Yeah. But I've just had to set some rules around, even with her, just to know how to act when there's people around, to be very respectful, but also just to communicate maybe when she's supposed to say, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to take a picture, or I can just say hi, or I can... there's a lot of babies that love Cairo, but we've just had to set rules. I think that is what helps, so that she also knows.
702.
The upside of failure.
Sometimes failure is the foundation of greatest success stories.
We take your calls on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 7021 702. Any of the questions or comments that you have for Umama ga Cairo. Mommy,
how are you?
It is so good to see you.
I'm definitely a mother, that's for sure.
I was trying to remember. I always do this with guests because we all see each other somewhere.
Yes,
and I was trying to remember where we saw each other last. And it was at Nadia's Previdar cover.
Yes, you were emceeing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And interviewing her. And it just got me thinking about how different life was for the entire squad since that time.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, how are you doing today?
Well, time works miracles, It gives you space to cope. It gives you, I guess, the experience to live with something.
Yes.
We're still struggling very much, since the time. But I feel like every day it gets better. You learn to live with the circumstances, and we're much better, definitely. I feel like we're much better. It'd be better if the situation was different and Keenan was around. That'd be more of a preference from our side, but we're learning to live with it.
I have to just share with all of the listeners. So Cairo is in studio with us. But the reason I'm having a chuckle to myself is before I had decided to put my son on social media, it was actually Glammy who gave me the advice to say the advantage was Cairo knows how to handle herself now because of who her parents are. And initially I was like, I'm so scared, right? So in my mind, Cairo's grown so much, but she is literally on you the same way that my son still is on me. And I'm like, so this thing is going to last how long?
It's going to go on forever. Cairo's going to be 9 in a few months.
And she just told me she's very tired.
Yeah, she's tired. I don't know why she's tired, because she slept in my bed.
Why are you tired?
Why are you tired, boo? She doesn't know. I think she's just being tired. She's just tired. It's okay, baby.
Right? And then, so the mommy cuddles are still a part of the mix.
Oh, 100%. There's a big fight between Asante and Cairo for mommy cuddles, which is crazy.
Santi gets angry when I...
Yeah, Santi gets angry when Cairo is cuddling. Maybe she knows Cairo's should be done cuddling by now. Maybe that's why. No?
my son is sick, so he wants extra cuddles, but that comes now with me also being sick. So everybody's like, when you introduce a new sibling, it goes away. I'm like, you are all lying to me. You are trying to trap me
into having another one.
Yes.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I
Don't do
absolutely
it.
love
Take
that.
my advice.
And I have to just commend you publicly, because I mean, I don't really talk. If we know each other, we talk privately. I have to commend you publicly for being so consistent in where you stand on your views. You know,
Yeah.
Glammy being Lynn, Cairo's grandmother, and I have had conversations about blended families even prior to the passing of Keenan. And I said to her, I'm so lucky that I was exposed to that concept. Growing up, knowing people who, okay, so there's another child, we're going to have a rule, we're all in a WhatsApp group, everybody gets equal treatment. So the way that the public approaches, you know, things that are so natural to you is to me mind-boggling on the one hand, but on the other hand, it just reminds me how accustomed we are to dysfunction and toxicity.
That is crazy for me.
Right?
That for me is such a crazy thing. It's dysfunction. Like, how are we so good with it? Like, why are we fighting for it?
But also, how have you found the balance of dealing with the entitlement? I know you mentioned it before the one time, and then I couldn't relate until now I have a son, where a complete stranger is like trying to grab my child, and it's like so scary because they follow him, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I remember you posting about it. And how do you manage those boundaries? Because it's a tricky balance where on the one hand, yes, your child is out there publicly. She has her own career. She's making her own money. She's her own individual person, but she still is your baby.
No, she's a baby. She's completely a baby. And I think the one thing that people don't realize very much about Kari is that she's not really aware of the public exposure. She's not that aware of social media and what her position is on social media.
Yes.
So we've had to set some rules even with her. She knows she's not allowed to take pictures. She's not allowed to do a lot of things, you know. I also even try and limit the interaction when I'm with Cairo. Because I get paranoid, you know, I'm with the child and I'm taking pictures and I'm distracted. What if my child disappears? Like, I'm very paranoid.
Yeah.
But I've just had to set some rules around, even with her, just to know how to act when there's people around, to be very respectful, but also just to communicate maybe when she's supposed to say, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to take a picture, or I can just say hi, or I can, like, there's a lot of babies that love Cairo, but we've just had to set rules. I think that is what helps, so that she also knows.
But funny enough, I feel like whoever would be brave enough to try and grab Cairo, the whole country would be like, yay, that is not, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you are a mom.
Yeah.
And with that role in your life and choosing to go even more public. Now, working in television, you know, we can never expose all the secrets. But the
Right.
one thing we know is that if you are a smart businesswoman, which you definitely are, there are advantages to choosing to put your life out there the way that you do. If you use it smartly, we look at how the Kardashians have turned that
100%.
into brands and all of these things. What are your lines that you try not to cross? Because you want it to still be authentic, and people are relating to that, but you also want to protect yourself. You want to protect your husband. You want to protect your family. You want to protect Keenan's legacy. You want to protect, Keenan's parents, because those are Cairo's. There's so many elements. How do you find that balance where, let's say you're watching an edit and you know this is good TV, but you're like, nah, cut it out.
I'd never cut anything out.
Really?
No. I'd never cut anything out. And I also realized that I actually don't know as much as I thought I did about TV. Maybe you would know better because you've worked there for a long time.
Yes.
A lot of the things that I consider to be just normal or trivial from my side, next thing, that's the
The
subject.
storyline.
Yeah, that's the big thing. And I was just like, really? Is that the thing? So I never know what works and what doesn't. But what has saved me from a lot of maybe discomfort when things are out in public is just to live my life truthfully. You know what I mean? So that by the time it catches up with me, I know that either way, that is the action I would have taken.
Yes.
My husband and I had a little thing going on now about how he told me something and I told it to someone, and then it just became a mess. And he's like, how can you tell your friend? I'm like, babe, let me tell you. If someone tells me a secret, I'm telling you. And if you tell me a secret, I'm telling Pearl Tusi. She's my friend. Like,
Can I tell you why I'm laughing? We had a whole talker on the show about if you are married, ne, and we tell you something, should we assume the husband knows?
Very much, please
And-
assume that my husband knows everything you tell me.
A man called in to say, Relebogile, Mgozi's keeping our marriage together.
That's
he says he
brave.
looks forward
Yes.
to, he's like, everybody in that woman's office, go office party, I know
Yeah,
every...
I love it. I love it.
Well, you didn't, though, take your guys' love letters and put them in a studio like J-Lo did.
No, no,
You're not
no.
going to that extreme.
No, but trust me, we are girls. So we should stop lying to our men and saying, no, don't tell them everything. We tell them every detail. Like, you know this. Like, you know, Pearl and Moose know a lot of things that no one should know about me.
Do you make your friends sign NDAs?
There's an NDA, like a gentleman's agreement type NDA with friendships.
Yeah, but but ladies,
You
though.
should know. Sfunale gentleman, that one's harder.
The one where they shake hands and then
Yes,
it's a done.
Yes.
I almost feel like, I don't know why, I feel like the title DJ needs to drop because
To doctor.
don't even start. No, because, you know, I feel like, and I don't know how you've navigated this, right? Because obviously DJ Zinhle is your brand, right?
100%,
But there's
yeah.
some people who in the business world are meeting you in the capacity of a business person.
It's such a hard thing to balance. I
Yes.
just had a conversation now about that with one of the shopping malls where we have a store.
Is this at Mall of Africa?
Yeah.
I saw both your stores. When was I
Thank
there?
you.
Like a week ago. I have mall anxiety, so I don't go often. It gives me, I know, just
It makes sense though.
the anxiety, and if you're with your child, and it's a lot for me.
It is a lot.
But I was like, we did the train ride, so we drove past both your stores, and I was sitting somewhere, and I was like, look at this woman doing her things, doing the most. Hey Majesty,
Right.
era. So when you have these meetings, do people say, Dumela DJ?
Yeah, yes. At the most inappropriate places, you know, people just can't let go of the DJ sometimes. Sometimes it's just like, okay, we've known each other for a while. You can drop the DJ Zinhle. But I guess it's maybe out of respect.
Yes.
I don't know, but it's tough for some people sometimes too. Or sometimes people think she's an old lady. If I don't call her DJ Zinhle, what am I gonna say?
Nah.
Yeah.
It is all part of that. So in your journey though of business, and if you are wondering, Cairo is in studio with us.
She's a lot.
But can I tell you what my mom says? If you say she's a lot, my mom says you got the child you deserve, ne?
Right, clearly I
Right?
did.
You did. Do you wanna sit right next to mom, ne?
Not right next, like on
Oh,
my,
okay,
on my lap.
mom. Are you
Yeah.
comfy now, ne? Okay. And I know Cairo will tell me the truth if mom isn't telling me. In this journey, how has vulnerability helped you navigate spaces? Because when you are a public profile, even the tiniest, in inverted commas, mistake or what looks like a failure, the weight is heavier than load shedding. You know, so how have you used that being real? Because you know people are gonna come after you, irrelevant of what you do. How do you find that balance? Because I really do wonder. You look at someone like Beyonce who chooses to be so specific about controlling her brand, but now she's pushing the hair thing, and now she has to let us in.
Sure.
Like, girl, we needed to see your hair, you know?
We need to, we need to see it to believe it.
We need to also hear you talk. Now she's letting us in. How do you manage that balance?
I think my best weapon, again, like you mentioned, is just being as real as possible, to leave my truth. But also, what freed me a few years ago was just realizing that all the things that I go through are things that everyone else goes through. I am not bringing anything new to life. Like, if I'm going through a blended family, we've been dealing with blended families for years. If I'm
Yes.
an independent and hardworking woman who can't cook, come on, I'm not the first one. So I think that also just gives
I'm
me.
sorry, I laughed so much about that because I'm like, how did you get away with that at home?
Because I was the youngest of the girls. My sister's
I
always taking care of everything.
You are that last born that all the elders are like, wena.
Ngekushade.
Yes, yes. And I'm happy that you reel about that because we are in a position now with the way we navigate public life, being working moms.
Sure.
We can outsource these things.
But this is what I was telling people, that just because I cannot cook does not mean my family is not taken care of. My family is well taken care of. Like, I make sure, like, they are soft, okay? They are living, they're okay, but society is like nodding. My family is taken care of. I'm a convenience and organized person. Like, I love convenience and I'm super organized. Just between those two traits, trust me, I'll make sure your life is amazing. You'll get whatever you need
Yes.
before you even think of it. Cairo,
Cairo, here's my question. What is mommy says?
Sure.
To Mama.
I know you are. Come
But
talk with.
Mama, last night you made dumplings with me.
You did
Yeah, she showed me how to make dumplings. It was
like
very nice.
ledombolo or like Chinese dumplings.
Those Japanese ones. The Chinese or Japanese?
Is it dim sum?
Yeah, dim sum, and Bongani really enjoyed it.
Look
which was
at
great.
that.
Yeah.
So when you say can't cook, do you mean like you cook but then no one eats the food,
I
or
don't
like
even try.
you are my spirit animal?
I
I love that.
don't even try, babe. It makes me feel so dumb when I cook. I can't figure it out.
Okay.
I can't be great at everything.
This is true.
Right?
This is true. When you because you strike me as a person who you have 5-year plans. You sit with your team and you guys have to figure out whether it's like the release of a song, the timing of that, or if Cairo's doing a campaign that you are a part of, or, okay, we want to try this new line with our jewelry. Being a person who is a planner, how do you navigate when things just go south? So it could be the fact that you are getting ready to launch the store and you get there and shelves are still not screwed in.
Yeah.
Like, how do you navigate those things that are out of your control?
I think the one thing that I used to struggle with when I was young is fear. Like, I had a lot of fear, and I therefore would panic a lot when things were happening.
So what do you mean by fear? Like fear of failing or fear of not finishing?
Of failing, of things not going according to plan. And then I'd also have just anxiety about, okay, what if we fail? Then what happens? But then as a kid, because God is great, I learned that 99% of the things we worry about never happen anyway, number one. And number two, when things do happen, what is the worst that can happen? That's my first question. Like, who is going to die?
Yes.
Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? And that has saved that. Just asking myself that question in a moment of failure has saved me from a lot of anxiety, because then I need to be realistic about the situation at hand and find solutions instead of sitting there and worrying about it and crying about it. Like, I am a very solution-based thinker. Like, I love solutions. So even when failure comes, which is really uncomfortable for me as someone who plans a lot, I am very big on sitting and figuring the plan to fix this thing. So that's why I like being realistic about problems. And that's why I'll never give people unrealistic problems to deal with. I'll never say to you, oh, Relebogile, I'm 5 minutes away when I'm 20 minutes away. I need to give you the real situation so that you can deal accordingly with the situation at hand. That's why I need facts, and I don't need people lying to me to save me. Give me facts so that we can
solve it.
Yeah.
So about 2 weeks ago, I was speaking to somebody was working on a project, also a producer who's freaking out about this hasn't happened, what if this happens? And I said to her, I'm going to give you a simple analogy that I figured out. You don't walk around your dog worrying about picking up its poop until the poop is there.
Right?
So now you're standing with a plastic but the poop hasn't even come, and then a day might not even. We deal with the poop when it's there.
When it's there. Yeah.
Because and the rest of the time you're not thinking about your dog pooping.
100%,
So that's literally what my theory is.
Yeah, like 99% of the things that we worry about just never happen anyway.
When we were going to the news and I was asking, how you navigate possible failures, and I think about the fact that I remember being so amazed that you were starting a furniture business, and I thought this is brilliant, but at the same time not knowing the industry, not researching the industry myself. From the outside, you're like, queen!
It's a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
Tell us what you thought it was going to be getting into the business and what the reality was, because brand DJ Zinhle is huge enough to launch so many things. But even Beyonce, Ikai House of Dirion, not everything works out.
I think the thing for me is, one, there's businesses that I start and manage myself 100%, like Era by DJ Zinhle, that's me. But then there's businesses that I get into partnerships with.
Yes.
And I love getting into partnerships with professionals in the industries, because then it makes it easier for me to use my influence to cultivate what they have.
Because you become the billboard and they're like the operations.
And I always try and teach myself as much as possible about each industry or before I go into it or while I'm working on it. But what really went wrong also with Gianna Atelier, which is the furniture, was the partners could not deliver on the demand or what we had agreed on. And I think sometimes it's all great on paper to say, okay, no, we make this many couches anyway, so we'll be able to meet the demand. And then it just didn't come. And let me tell you, my worst fear in life is to let customers down. Like, I hate letting customers down. I remember, I think I was faced with like a year of just like using my own money to fix and to deliver on what wasn't delivered to customers, because I was like, I'm going to have other products. I need to make sure that these customers still believe in me and still feel like I'm not trying to, like, maybe, I don't know, play them. So that one was a tough lesson. I mean, my brother and I definitely continued, and we try to find different partners and set up our own thing, but it's not an easy industry to get into. It's very amazing to get into. But
because
we
of
live
the
and
fun,
we learn.
because of the fun creative bits. But
Yes.
The
100%,
things like quality
yeah.
control checks.
Yeah. It's a lot. And the thing is, I didn't realize how much that is like not a given for any business owner. Because when it comes to Era, like those things for me, over the last 12 years of Era by DJ Zinhle are things that I work on every day. Customer service, quality, accessibility, like all the things that mean something to our customers. Those are things that we work on daily to refine. So when you partner with other business partners, it's very important to find values that align before you can get into bed with people.
And it's reminding me of when Minenke Dlamini was here, chatting about, her lotion. I think it was called MD Beauty, or my brain is half functional. And I was saying to her that I loved how rich and creamy it was. That the texture of the rich and creaminess that I got is what brands, for example, like Eucerin are diluted here. But if you're in Canada or the US, it's a different quality.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
What
so
went
why
wrong?
didn't it work? And she was like, the people I was in bed with let me down. And now the worst part is you become the face of
The product.
failure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No one knows those other people.
Yeah.
So what was the biggest lesson you took out of that? And not just that, even with Her Majesty, the way that things are accessible now, we can be like, hey, wena Zinhle, my
Right.
wig,
Right.
like
and
now.
you better
know?
hit us up and let us know. But my one, obviously as a younger person, I had business partners in the small businesses that I was trying out
Yes.
as a child. And I quickly learned that I don't ideally love partnering with people, because I'm such a strong force when it comes to a lot of things. Like
Wait, do you mean strong force or like you're a control freak?
whatever you want to call it. But
I'm right, ne? I'm right.
But see
Control
what
freak
your
is
words.
the word. Control freak is the word. But I can relate. I can relate.
And also, I'm very specific about my vision. I'm specific about the things that I'm able to do. And I need partners that can match me at my level. So when I then got into ERA, I did ERA on my own. And I thought, okay, this is great. This is actually what I need to do, because then I have full control of what happens. And then when the brand grew stronger and then I had more interest in business, I thought, okay, I can partner with people against my original,
yes.
will. So thought, okay, maybe I can partner with people, but because I was relying on them having the expertise that I don't have to build something new. And clearly I was right. It's just maybe never supposed to happen. I'm just supposed to write this thing until someone buys me out.
So are you in your mind, is your attitude to say, okay, I tried the furniture thing, it didn't work out? Or are you still of the view that, like, maybe it was the wrong timing and the wrong partners, but because I am still a creative who has a very specific look that now everybody gets to see on your reality show, that you would give it a chance if the space was allowed? You'd go from House of Darion to Ivy Park,
You know what? Another thing is for me, when I'm like, see, right now, Basezana and I are on a radio tour promoting our new song, Mdali, right?
Yes.
And then I still have like to be Murder's wife and Caro and Saint's mom. And then I have to have my own life for myself, like just be me, just be Zinhle. And then I still have to be DJ Zinhle. And then I still have to do like the business stuff. A lot of the stuff that I do currently relies on me having a strong team, like an incredible team. And to build a team like that does not take 2 days. It takes a long time. If I had the right team, if I could like bring together the right team for any business venture I want to get into now, I would do it. I have so many incredible ideas for business that I want to explore. But unfortunately, just building the right team that can carry the business in my absence has been very difficult for me.
I think also, and I don't know if you found this, we struggle in South Africa, talent in general, with just having good managers. And when I see you working with your family, I'm like, because you know where you're going to fetch your money. If they are stealing from you,
Exactly.
if they double book you, or, don't even tell you about a deal on the table and write it off, for example. And because I deal with managers so often, I'm like, we are lacking in a certain skill set.
In a lot of skills. Basi's nodding because we talk about it all the time. The one thing about the South African youth is not just that they are unemployed. A lot of them are unemployable. They don't have the skill that is required. It bugs me how long it takes for us to fill in positions as ERA. Just to find the right person for our stores, it literally takes longer than it should in a country that has so much unemployment. We're opening a store at Highveld, I think in Witbank. We're just looking for 3 people to work at the store in Witbank. Is it Witbank, Highveld? It's crazy. It's impossible. You would think, like, I haven't had a PA for such a long time. Because every time I find a PA, it doesn't work out because maybe they just can't keep up with.
Can I propose that maybe the issue is not skill?
Anything.
That maybe, and mind you, I relate to you so much. I currently don't have a PA because the requirement is so high. But what I'm proposing is the issue is not skills that I'm finding. I think the issue is, it sort of falls in the attitude of into the grouping of attitude and character, because I'm more willing to take the unskilled person who is consistent, eager to learn, take direction, as opposed to the skilled person who doesn't have a great attitude. Now you've got questionable integrity. You don't want to now worry that, like, hey, did that cash recon actually be the cash recon? So I don't know if you think it's still skills, or if it is sense of attitude and character.
Maybe in our space where we can still teach people, where we're also learning ourselves about the industry we're in, that space is available. But if I'm running a corporation that is built on skills, I don't have time to teach someone new. Fine, a lot of companies have mentorship and internships, and we do too. But I'm just saying, in terms of the number of students that are graduating each year, there has to be a better plan for them. There has to be something. And that's why I sometimes feel so hacked as a young business owner that I don't see or get any support from the government. And I'm not even saying they must give me money. Even just skills, like learning, whatever that they can give me to just take my business to the next level so that I can employ more people. Because I just feel like this unemployment story that we're dealing with, only small businesses are going to sort it out. Only, yes, it's small businesses are going to be the solution. We are the ones hiring a lot of people. Big companies now are struggling. A lot of people are getting retrenched. I heard the post office yesterday on Workers' Day was retrenching 4,900 people. So I
But
just
also,
feel
like, when last did we go to the post office also?
Right.
Like, there needs to be some kind of plan of what's the next stage, how are we retaining people, how are
we don't have that. That evolution just doesn't exist. Sometimes we have a culture of just putting money into things, even though it's past their time. I'm not saying this is the case with the post office, but I'm just saying, I'm pleading, like, as a small business owner, and I hate to call my businesses, but I think that's the word that they'll, that people relate with, to just say, can you give us more support to build our businesses, to make, even as an artist, I feel like South African music, especially my piano, is international, but you will not believe how much we struggle to get visas to just go and activate this talent that we've given to Chris Brown and the world, and everyone's singing our song.
And they're busy doing our challenges.
It's one thing to say, South African, babe, this is marketing. We are marketing this country. Like, and I was in Hong Kong recently, and I was with a guy, and I said, would you visit South Africa? And they said, no.
But
he said, I look rich, they're going to kidnap me and rob me in South Africa. I said, but well, that's not the PR we want. But the PR that we have that is actually good, that is us sending our music internationally, I think we need more support in terms of just elevating that.
So before people flood your DMs, just be clear, you're not looking for a PA. Because now they're going to be flooding.
I'm not looking for a PA, and no, I'm not looking for a PA.
7 minutes to 3 o'clock, the upside of failure. We are here with DJ Zinhle, and there's a WhatsApp that says, my 16-year-old daughter is a Cairo, never leaves me alone. People call her my handbag, and I love it. Zinhle, when are you going to start? I think you need to give Cairo her own brand, but she's the only exclusive handbag that is available. No one can buy it. What do you think?
I think so. It's appropriate. It's fitting.
It is absolutely fitting. Before we chat about your brand new song and also dealing with promoting and chatting to Bastana, how do you cope? We speak a lot on this show around people looking for love after losing someone. We speak about people who've been in abusive relationships. How do you cope with literally you're sitting in studio with your daughter, and in our headlines is an update on her father and the case. And I'm like, I was even freaking out, and you are like so calm. I'm busy sitting here freaking out because I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody quickly, and I'm trying to tell you quickly. And I'm like, how do you do it? Because I know many people are facing so many challenges, not necessarily at that scale, but they still have to show up in the midst of real life happening. Yeah. And it's, yes, we know people are like, but they went to get, it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Girl, I need to write a whole book about that. And it's the same thing that I was just telling you now. And I had a conversation before with a lady I met in Maritzburg, which was on the same lines of the children rely on your cue to act. So if you're telling your son that there's something wrong with you not celebrating the birthday with him on Sunday, then he'll definitely think there's something wrong. But you are leading the conversation. You are you're the hero in your kids' lives. So if you tell them a different story, that's the story that they go with. So Karen and I have a very open relationship where we communicate. If like she knows a lot of things. I mean, I think it helps also to have Glam because we can have conversations with her. But I love to give my children good cues. So even when you told me about this thing of there's going to be an announcement about Keenan's case, Karen and I didn't want to panic. We don't panic about it because the cue I gave her was that it's okay. We just at a radio station. There's nothing different, and she knows where
now
everything
I want
is.
to cry
Yeah.
because, oh man, it's just like and it's like it's such a such a coincidence. Let me say.
Yeah.
But that is your world, and
It
that's
is, yeah.
your life.
It is, but
and
also,
I
yeah.
was just sitting immediately thinking, "Oh my gosh, I need to protect."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you guys were just so calm.
I think also it's important to just like, I know things are tough, and trust me, I'm dealing with a lot. Like I'm dealing with a child that lost a father. It's not easy, but I feel like there's just so many things that we have as our own fears as children. I mean, as mothers that we project onto our kids. So we need to just maybe find a way to be like just aware of what it is that we're dealing with. The lady that I spoke to that I mentioned earlier was telling me that she's worried for her daughter because the father is not in their lives. And every time he comes, he breaks the promises. So she fears that her child is going to be broken. I said, no, that is a valid point to have as a mom. But don't you think that the child interprets what happens with the dad because you give her the information? You know what I mean? So I think we just need
as
to
in
be careful.
you create the narrative.
Yes. To say, oh, he didn't come, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, we need to just create a different narrative with our children. Like, we need to have a different conversation. Just also just unburden our kids from our own fears. Like, your fears are yours. They belong to you. Don't burden your son with the fear of you not being there for his third birthday that he knows nothing about. He is 3 years old. He has no idea. You are the one making it an issue.
Ebo. Bastana, is this you? You know when people say you don't look like your voice.
Yeah.
I imagined a higher register, but your lower chest register is rich, girl.
That's my favorite, actually.
Right?
Yes.
Like you are singing from that part of the soil where they say you must fill your own cup. That's where you sing from.
Yeah, I have to. Absolutely. All the time.
What have you learned from working with this woman here?
Who? Her, me, or me? I was ready to expose her.
What have you learned from working with Zinhle?
I've learned that consistency is key.
Yep.
Humbleness. Hey, she's humble. There was a point where humbleness scared me so much. I even called my mom. I said, Mom, she stood up to greet me. You know? Humbleness and God before everything, and respecting your ancestors, and also having respect for everyone. I've never seen a person of her caliber having respect for anyone and everyone.
And I have to say, having known her as long as I have, she's been exactly the same. Exactly the same person. So the song is out. What's the title of the song?
It's called Mdali by DJ Zinhle featuring myself, Basitan.
House Basita. Now, welcome to 702
Thank you
Family.
so much.
Zinhle, you have so many lessons that you have learned. What are your final words? If you were to sum up what you've learned about failure and in the context of not just business, but even where we feel like failures as parents, what would you say to the listeners? What have you learned?
I've learned that failure is an opportunity to start again. Sometimes you need to just sit at rock bottom and think. Some people are very quick to get up from rock bottom. Just sit there and think about yourself. You've got nowhere else to go anyway. So take your time, learn from your mistakes, and then rebuild. I think the older you grow, the more you realize how important failure is to growth. It is part and parcel of growth. You have to fail in order to grow. And there's just like, whenever I take people skating with me, they always say to me, oh no, I'm scared of falling. And I always say, you actually have to fall to skate
learn,
better.
right?
Yeah. And I go to skating because I learned so many life lessons, things like that. Like, you have to fall in order to learn. no
Yo,
one
but
cares
girl,
about
it's
whether you're
painful.
falling. No one
It's
cares.
painful.
No one cares whether you're falling or not because they're also falling. That's another thing
Yes.
about failure. You worry about people worrying about your failure. They're not worried about your failure because they've got their own failures to deal with.
DJ Zinhle, follow her on the socials. Basitsana, what's your social media handles?
The real Basitsana.
However, the real one. You can hear more of the song. It is out. I just have to say, Cairo, you are one brave young lady. And
Thank you.
if nobody's told you, we are so proud of how you are just yourself. Keep being you. Beautiful baby girl. And as for you, Mama, I'll be phoning you for mom advice. Thank you so much.
I charge per hour.
702.
The upside of failure.
Sometimes failure is the foundation of greatest success stories.